everybody. Welcome back to the Sean Lowery Show. This is my podcast, episode 36. And right now, we are in the middle of a war. We're in a war. This is crazy times. I never thought the coronavirus would get this bad. And I'm somebody, I never get sick. In 17 years, I've only been sick one time. And I usually don't focus on sickness. And that was my first thought when this came around. We'll get through this. It's all going to be fine. But I didn't have a lot to say about the whole coronavirus situation. But my thoughts are developing on it, and I think it's time to frame this as a war, humans versus a virus. And one of my strategies that I've used when it comes to sickness is to really not focus on the sickness, not focus on thinking about getting sick, worried about getting sick, because one, when your stress levels raise, you're more prone to getting sick. And I truly believe that what you focus on becomes true. However, the stakes have definitely changed with this coronavirus situation. And I think it's time to look at this thing like a war, humans versus the virus. And what do you need to do in times of war? You need to completely focus on your enemy and winning the war. And it's funny, I'm actually like an expert on World War One and World War Two. I don't know why. I'm just so fascinated in them, and I've learned so much about them over the years. And obviously, this is a very different type of situation. It's not country versus country, it's humans versus the virus. And a lot of the times, just like this, Americans throughout history have ignored the wars. When things were going on in Europe during World War One and World War Two, a lot of Americans just ignored it until Pearl Harbor, until it was time. And then the entire country focused on winning. And we're the back to back World War champs. And I think framing this like a war is a great strategy right now because for me, I found it's a great strategy to gamify things, to put things into perspective with a scoreboard. For example, with business, I love checking my Shopify app that says what my sales are at. I love looking at the numbers. It makes it a game. For exercise, I love it. And I go to Orange Theory Fitness and they have your name up on the board and they keep track of all your stats. They keep track of how fast you ran the mile 3 months ago, 6 months ago. They keep track of all your benchmark scores. So it makes it more fun for me to know I have my stats and know that I'm putting numbers in, I'm tracking. Even as a kid, running to do chores, like time me. If someone wants me to take out the trash, I'll be like, time me, see how long it takes. That makes it doing the trash more fun. I love gamifying things and framing things in the right way to make me work hard. And I think that if everyone does that right now for this coronavirus and frames it like a war, then we can complete it and finish it and beat the virus faster and more efficiently with less casualties. So it's time to focus on it. And when it comes to this coronavirus, like I said, best thing to do is frame it like a war. But it's tough because, all right, so we need to defeat the virus. The virus is the enemy. And that's obviously the number one goal. And the best thing we're doing is distancing from each other, not letting people get in big groups, no groups more than 10. I think that's great. And because the virus spreads when it goes from person to person. But also, because of that and shutting down the economy and people closing businesses down and putting their business on hold and people who have jobs at those companies not being able to go to work and not having money, that's a problem too. Because if somebody has no money and has high stress, they're more likely to maybe do something dumb, go out to the store, be around more people, but also have those high stress levels. And the virus can find that. And people who have higher stress are more likely to get sick. That's been proven. So one of the advices has been to relax, take a deep breath, know that everything's going to be okay. But that's harder to do if your company's shut down and you're out of a job and you have no money. So we have that battle too of keeping the economy good. Now, every business has their own situation and the government can do what they can do, but they can't have police go to every single business and shut it down. And every state is in a different situation and every state has its own rules. And it's pretty much up to us. It's up to the people. It's up to each individual person to help win this war. And I got to say that my situation for business, it's great at the moment, at this very moment. It could change. It could change. And I'm ready for adjustments, but I'm very lucky because we sell our product online. So we don't have any customers come into the store. We don't have anyone pick anything up. So there's no interaction there. And people are at home and they're shopping online. So our sales have been pretty good. And at the office, so the post office is still running and UPS is still dropping off boxes. So we're still operating in that way. And we are actually very fortunate the way that our building is set up. Every single employee has their own station. The DTG t-shirt printer, they have their own station. They're not near anyone else. The operations manager has his own office. The three desk people have their own offices far away. Customer service has their own desk. Embroidery, there's separate stations, and everybody is naturally separated at our office. So we're able to be operational right now. And if that changes, I don't know. It's going to be tough. I mean, I can still come in and print shirts if no one else wants to come in. It's kind of up to person by person. But if the state says to shut everything down, I'm going to try to do everything I can to be able to take care of my employees during this time because that's my way of fighting the war is just to help my 10 to 15 employees, my people. I consider those the people that I'm responsible for taking care of. And that's my way of fighting this war. And for now, keeping the business operational and keeping everyone working, giving them a paycheck, keeping their spaces safe. They're coming into work. They're not around a lot of other people. We're very fortunate at the moment. And for everyone that's out there, you just have to be patient and you have to make the best decision possible for yourself. Honestly, it's easier for me to give this advice right now because of the good situation that my business is in. People are still buying things, people are still coming into work, everyone's separated, and we're operating. So it's easy for me to do it. And if I couldn't have my employees come in for 3 weeks, or if UPS or FedEx or the post office shut down, that would be tough. That would be tough. But my commitment is to be able to keep my employees, figure out a way to keep them paid so they don't have to file for unemployment, which is less burden on the government, which is already doing so much to help all the citizens. And that's my way of fighting this battle. So, everyone, just look at the situation that you're in. If you work for a company and you're getting paid to work from home, your job is a little bit easier to be a soldier in this situation. Your job is to just stay home and not go out and be around other groups of people. So that's what most of the soldiers, most of the people have to do right now is just stay at home and do nothing. And that's boring, but it is the best time ever to be in a situation like that. I've seen so many people going on Instagram Live or having virtual chats, whether it be through FaceTime or Zoom or Instagram. But with so much content between Netflix and YouTube and Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, it's not the worst time to be stuck at home with nothing to do. It. Imagine even 15 years ago being stuck at home and all you have is what the newspaper, books, and maybe some old DVDs. That would drive us even more insane. So just have to be patient, make the best decisions possible, and be a soldier. One of my favorite things about World War II, one of my favorite stories is yes, one, all the factories, GM and Ford, they stopped making cars and they started making tanks. And that's pretty cool. And I know that Hershey, they stopped making chocolate and they started making like protein power bars to give to the troops. And I heard recently during a Trump press conference that Hanes, the manufacturer of underwear, socks, undershirts, they're turning their manufacturing into making more face masks. And honestly, if my company could do something like that, I would be very open to doing it. I mean, but we pretty much decorate products, so we're not the manufacturers of the products. Therefore, I'm not sure if we're the best company to do that. And also, Hanes is getting paid. They're they're getting paid. I'm sure they're giving a great price, but they can afford to change their manufacturing from underwear to face masks because they're still able to get money from the company buying the face masks, whether it be the government or the hospitals, and then they use that money to pay their employees. And I think the thing I can do best right now is just keep my company running the way it is, give people at home something to shop for, something to look forward to getting in the mail. And I thought our sales were going to tank because people don't know when they're going to wear an outfit next. Therefore, why would they buy clothes? But it's actually crazy that I've been thinking that one of the reasons why it's going well and people are still shopping online is because so many people are doing virtual conferences and going on Instagram Live, in which case they're still seen above the waist. And what do you wear above the waist is a monogram, which is what we sell, personalized clothing. So back to World War II, one of the things that people at home had to do was they would eat food, they'd eat tin cans, beans, soup, anything that came out of a tin can. Then they would take the tin cans, they would smash them down, and they put them outside. And the government would come pick up the tin cans, and they would use those tin cans to make bullets and uh, bombs and things for war, tanks, mostly bullets, I believe, because that was what we needed to win that war. That was much more scary to have all the able-bodied men go and fight the Japanese and the Germans in World War II. So we have to have the same mindset, and everyone has to do their part, just like we did in World War II. But it's less scary than that. I mean, the death that we faced then was getting shot overseas. Here, it's just the virus being spread, especially to old people. And there's just not much else to talk about now, right? Besides this, and I'm gonna try not to do too much more content about the coronavirus. But that's the cool thing about having the podcast is just being able to look back in history and being able to look back at this time and seeing that the whole world was shut down. And hopefully we can learn a lot from this. Businesses, hospitals, uh, medical field, and there's a lot that can be learned. And we're still in the early stages of this. And I'm excited to see people noticing how important this is and how fast we're making adjustments and making changes. And it's really cool to see all the people come together, not worry about politics, mobilize, and fight this thing. It's humans versus this crazy virus. And I think we're doing a great job so far. And I am very confident in Americans and people across the world to be able to defeat this virus and be able to look back on this and talk about how much of a crazy time that we're in right now. So I'm lucky right now that we're just moving forward at my company, and we'll see what happens over the coming weeks and over the coming months. I had to push my wedding back 5 months, and everyone just keep fighting, doing your part, stay home, limit your interactions with other people, and support local businesses if you can, any way possible. One person who's been a great role model for me and as a business owner has been Mark Cuban during this time. He's still focusing on paying his employees, and he's focusing on uh, supporting local businesses, and he has a lot of money and resources. And this is one of the reasons why I aspire to be someone like Mark Cuban, a billionaire with lots of money and lots of resources. And I know that he wants to run for president one day. And hey, if he's campaigning right now, he's doing a great job because he's showing that he cares and he's using his money and resources to help the employees of his arena. And that's hard because he owns the Dallas Mavericks, and all the games have been shut down, 41 home games, and you get so much revenue during that time. And he's not getting that revenue, but he's still paying his employees who are usually serving the nachos, but they're not getting the revenue from the nachos and the beer, but he's still paying his employees. And of course, he has the money and the resource to do that. If I got shut down for 4 months, 3 months, and I just keep paying my employees, I don't know if I have the money to be able to do that. I'm going to do everything I can, but the best thing I can do is keep running. But Mark Cuban's just a great role model for that. But he's also just been an emotional and a practical resource for small business owners like me. He's just said simple things like employees. Just know that your employer is very nervous in this time and he's worried. Then he said employers. Just know that your employees are very nervous in this time, and everyone just has to do their best they can. And the other thing that he said, which I'm going to take note of, is before you go and fire anyone, go see what options are out there from the government as far as loans. I'm not planning on doing that right now because I don't need to, but he's just been a great resource for small business owners like me. And Mark Cuban is just an incredible guy who, hey, I would vote for him for president. That's for damn sure if he decides to run one day. But it's a crazy time. My message is to treat it like a war, to frame it like that. And then you'll be less annoyed and less like, another day of sitting inside. Think about it. No, this is another day that I'm fighting this war for humanity. And I never thought that I would be so worried or concerned about a sickness or a virus. It's giving viruses a lot of credibility in my mind as someone who never gets sick. But I do believe that a positive mind is important. Obviously, exercise is important. Exercise, eating healthy, keeping a positive mindset. Those are the basics of how not to get sick. And in understanding those and putting those principles in me is one of the ways that I haven't been able to get sick at all. Over 17 years, I haven't got sick. I never get sick. And it's just these basic principles. So keep those basic principles, keep fighting. And I think my next podcast, I'm having someone come on who's a Bitcoin expert. We're going to talk about that, talk about something different. If you're a content producer, just keep producing content about other things because people need entertainment at this time. People need entertainment. People need positive mindset, something to think about. you got to pay attention to the news and see what's going on, see what rules your state's implementing, but you can't sit there all day and focus about this virus and think about it and worry about it and watch the news. You need to just distract your mind. And if you ever thought about starting a business, now is the time. Now is the time. If you're stuck at home, you still have access to the entire internet. You can start a website. My last podcast was about selling products online and different details and descriptions about different ways you can sell products online. Boom, selling products online. There's never been a better time to do that. Focus on that. Focus on an internet business, something that is online because the internet is wide open. And you might be sitting at home and you might be worried, you might be concerned, you might be complaining. Take this time, exercise, get a sweat in, shower, and focus on how can I take this time to make myself better as an entrepreneur, as a business person. Even if you're not a business person, if you're not working and you're at home, what can you do? What can you do to either help this cause or what can you do to help yourself? Is it a good time to buy stocks? Is it a good time to just start a website or make connections? Think about how you can use this time productively. You'll be so much better off. And I don't plan on doing a lot more of podcasts about the coronavirus because there's so many people talking about it. But my message right now is our country won World War One. We won World War Two. This is a type of world war, and every single person has to be a soldier. That's how we won the other wars. So reframe this like a war in your head. Do your part to fight. And we'll look back on this in 6 months and it's only going to get better. That's what I hope. That's what you got to hope for. That's what you got to believe in, but you can't take it for granted and you need to fight and you need to do your part. So I appreciate everyone listening. I'm going to get back to business content. Win this war. Let's do it, baby. All right. I'm out. Peace out.